Dragon Age The Veilguard é um dos jogos mais aguardados do ano e alguns não estão gostando tanto do rumo que ele está levando, mas vem acompanhando alguns criadores que gostam de Dragon Age, todos eles estão bastante empolgados. E a IGN trouxe um gameplay de 20 minutos, mais um, né? Com coisas inéditas e com a BioWare explicando algumas coisas. Essa é a hora de aprender mais sobre o jogo, né?
Exatamente, Dragon Age é um jogo que levanta questões, sim, tem muitas pessoas que estão torcendo o nariz, mas eu acho que a maioria tá curtindo. Mas antes da gente assistir esse vídeo, você está no Combo Infinito.
Muita gente torcendo o nariz por causa do design, por causa das cores, né? Mas eu acho que isso daí é bem bobeira. Antes da gente seguir, você pode seguir a gente. Sigam aí nas redes sociais. No Twitter não dá agora, mas já aguarda aí pra quando der, porque eu acho que vai voltar. No Instagram, no Threads, no Blue Sky, onde você quiser. Tanto Combo Infinito, quanto Aliados, quanto Adeptecos. E siga o canal do Combo Infinito também. Vamos lá pra essa reação. Adeptecos pode contar aí, tem 22 minutos de gameplay.
Bora lá. 3, 2, 1, vai!
Um vídeo da IGN. É um IGN First? Não. É isso mesmo.
What's up, everybody? I'm Kat Bailey, and this is our extended look at Dragon Age The Veilguard's gameplay. I'm here with BioWare lead developers Corinne Bush and John Epler. Corinne, what are we looking at today?
Hey y'all, so today we're going to be helping out one of our companions, Davrin. This is part of his personal arc to rescue the Griffins long thought extinct. We're going to take a quick journey through the lighthouse, your base of operations. We're going to head into the crossroads and make our way to the dark swamps of Hossberg wetlands.
So you're in the lighthouse, as Corinne mentioned. This is your base of operations that you inherited willingly or unwillingly from Solus. It is located in the Fade. It's where Solus was able to start planning his rebellion against the Elven gods millennia ago. Right now, you and your team have occupied it, started to build it, started to shape itself around your personality. As Corinne mentioned, we are going to go talk to Davrin, who is located up above, and each of these spaces kind of shapes itself around your companions as they live there, as they basically spend their arcs in those
O
rooms.
jogo parece
And we
muito
see
mais
here the
bonito
glowing light
à
above
noite.
indicates Davrin's ready for us. Let's check in with him.
Muito mais bonito à noite, mas por causa, acho que a iluminação ela fica mais evidente, né?
É.
Got a message. Place called the Cauldron was attacked.
That's some sort of Grey Warden tavern.
It's a secret Warden readout. No idea what goes on there.
Then why are you involved?
Caramba, o cara é
Because whatever
vesgo.
attacked it sounds like the
percebi.
Gloomhowler.
Olha lá.
Earlier in Davrin's arc, you were introduced to his nemesis, the Gloomhowler,
Vesgão.
a creature that's been hunting and
Parece
stalking
não.
wardens for quite
Ô,
some
louco,
time.
onde tá o
It's
olho?
kidnapped a bunch of other griffins. Davrin has been
Acontece.
trying to track it down. Now he's got a lead, so we're going to go find this and
Esse
go
som foi do meu
track this
WhatsApp,
thing
galera.
down.
Fiquem tranquilos.
Now, Davrin, he prefers the direct approach. We're going to choose a tough response and see if we can get his approval.
Then let's get rid of it.
Had the same thought. What's left of the Wardens are still licking their wounds. So we handle this alone.
A
Just
cara
go to the
do
Cauldron and get the
grifo
Griffins
ali.
back.
Foi muito bom.
You have to promise to behave, boy. Listen to every word I say. Stay out of trouble. Don't do anything dumb.
Orelha
and
e
don't
antena.
eat any.
I think we get the point.
Orelha e antena?
Parece umas anteninhas no final da orelha, mas é só um
Between
detalhezinho.
Griffin and Warden moving as one.
Filhote de grifo.
Until Hassan and I have that, I'm supposed to keep him safe.
I have to say that I find the Griffin adorable.
And very importantly, I know this is a question on everyone's mind. Yes, you can pet Hassan.
Well, thank goodness for that. And all right, what are we going to be doing next?
He's up for this.
All right, we're going to finish getting this information from Davrin on the Gloomhowler, and we'll be off to Hossberg in the crossroads.
Between Warden and Griffin starts by having faith in each other.
Maybe. I suppose you were born for this sort of fight, boy. All talons and temper.
And a sharp tongue to remind you of it.
As long as he backs it up.
So I assume that Hassan can be helpful during the gameplay.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, a lot of Davrin's abilities revolve around calling Hassan in the heat of battle. I in particularly love when you're going against enemies, you see Hassan swoop down, especially if it triggers a combo between your
Corre engraçadinho.
companions.
Nossa, passou no meio de tudo.
As Corinne mentioned earlier, one of the interesting, fun things we've done is if you see the lights on in a room, companions have something to say, you can see Harding up in that space there. Nev behind you as well, and Belara.
Os
But
movimentos
we
do cabelo
have
tá
a
bom.
mission ahead
Tá
of us.
bem
We're
bom.
gonna go
Deve
find
ter ali o
Grumhowler
do
if we
FIFA
can.
lá, tá ligado?
L'Oreal.
We're gonna go through the
Do
crossroads in order
Frostbite.
to do that. And the crossroads, if you've played previous Dragon Age games,
É
Trespasser
muito
in
doido, assim, eu
particular,
não joguei
is
os
a
outros
location
Dragon
in
Age
the
ainda,
fade
mas
that contains a
esses
number of
ambientes,
illusions,
tudo,
allowing you to
tem muita
travel across
similaridade
phase
com
in a matter of
Origins. Eles
minutes,
devem estar
but at
tentando
this point, the crossroads
voltar
are
às
under assault
origens
by
aí.
the other elven gods. It's a dangerous place, and we are going to be in for a bit of a fight.
And this alluvian,
Ou tão
the
sem
Beer of
criatividade
Oz, is
pra
the
fazer
central
nobs.
focus point of
Não,
the
não, o lugar não
lighthouse. This is
parece.
gonna take us to Solas's
A estrutura dos lugares é parecido, mas o lugar não é o mesmo, assim, não parece o mesmo lugar. Pode até ser o mesmo lugar, né?
Estão
Can you tell us a
reaproveitando.
little bit about the role
É,
that
né,
the
não sei.
crossroads
Melhoraram,
plays in the
remasterizaram os
structure
lugares.
and
Ariel
gameplay?
diz que
É,
So the
EA está
crossroads is, again, it's an
remasterizando
area that you
Dragon
spend a
Age.
lot of time
não
traveling
é bem
through as you
assim,
go
mas
from area to area. It's also a
eu
space
quis dizer
that
que eu
has,
gostei,
at one
porque eu
point, served as
Tá
the
familiarizado.
main base of
por mais que eu
operations
só
and training
tenha
ground
jogado Origins
for his
até
rebellion
agora.
against the elven gods. So as you go through it, you're going to find fragments of
Aí o jogo tá
the
bem mais
past,
bonito.
things that Solus had done previously.
Mas tem uma coisa aí
that are
também,
gonna
esse
give you
vídeo
a
tá
bit
com o
of
bitrate
insight
também um pouco
into
baixo, então
Solus as a character,
atrapalha um
but
pouco a
also
percepção gráfica.
into the elven gods and their motivations.
Some of my favorite content
gods,
that
isso eu não
you'll
sei.
find if you go exploring in the crossroads is these opportunities
Esquisito
to
que essa missão ele tá
actually
sozinho.
relive some of the memories Solus had during his rebellion. You
que
actually
louco.
get to take part in this ancient
Caronte.
O
rebellion.
arqueiro?
And here we have the caretaker, a mysterious spirit that was actually here before Solus was and started to help Solus with his rebellion, but also to turn this into a safe haven for spirits. Again, as I mentioned before, the gods are assaulting the crossroads, so it's no longer the safe haven it once was, but you're going to work with this caretaker through quite a large amount of ancillary content to rebuild this into that safe home for these creatures that, if anyone knows Solus, he has a tremendous amount of affection for spirits.
All right, now we're gonna get into combat here, and this time we're playing as a mage.
Ah,
Now, mage is one of my favorite classes to play. It's primarily a ranged attacker, and when we're surrounded by swarming darkspawn, I really have
Jogos
to use a
assim eu
variety of
até jogo de
strategies
mago,
to
assim, mas é
control the
muito
battlefield.
mais raro.
I'm gonna use my
eu
heavy
prefiro
charged
ter um mago
attacks
me ajudando.
knock down these ghouls, get them out of the
É.
way, and of course, darkspawn
É mesmo,
are
a minha
vulnerable
escolha
to
sempre vai
fire.
ser
So we made sure to equip our
Jogar com
fire
guerreiro,
attacks,
assim.
have our fire
É.
abilities on
É.
hand.
No
You may
Origins
know
tem
something about the
tem um
Darkspawn too, but they
ladino,
look
assim,
a
você
little
pode
bit different
curtir
than they
pegar
have previously.
parecido aí.
Ah, o
And
Ladino eu
part of that is
costumo
because
gostar
Dornan,
bastante.
who has
Ele
been
pode
always
equipar
been
duas
focused on
adagas
using
e
the
tal.
Blight as essentially
Velocidade e
a
melee é
crafting tree, a way to
É.
alter life
Eu
itself,
gosto também do
has been
ataque pesado
enhancing and
mesmo
changing
assim,
these
por conta
Darkspawn as
do
part
poder,
of
né?
her army.
Mas eu pego e uso dois
Corinne, I
mages,
noticed
geralmente.
that you were
Um
doing
mais
a
dark e
combo
um mais
opportunity. Can you tell
white,
us
para
a
que eu
little bit
possa
more
ter
about
heal
the
e
role that
ataque.
plays in the actual combat?
Yes.
Isso dentro
so the
do
combat
time, né?
system in this game, the deep strategy behind it is really to manage the various abilities your companions and Rook have in concert. So in this case, Harding has a combo opportunity with Shred. It's going to apply the sundered effect and deal a high amount of stagger. Now you'll notice I can combo that with Rook's ability Spirit Bomb. That's going to cause a detonation combo.
So
Esse conjunto.
again, one of the things you'll notice about the terrain
Caramba,
here is
bem
it's very snowy, very mountainous.
Nossa, ajudando,
The
2.000?
crossroads
Tava
is a
tirando
realm
300.
that reflects the waking world. In this case, it's an amalgamation of all the real world spaces that are tied to it. In the case, we've got Hosberg, we've got other mountainous regions. So it's kind of this mix of the swamp. And as you'll see, as we move towards these alluvians, the architecture around them very clearly reflects what's on the other side. We're not going to spoiler and tell you exactly what's on the other side, but you maybe make a few guesses based on what you're seeing.
Do I have to do the crossroads, or can I just fast travel right through?
So it depends how you progress through the game. The first time you go to any of the new regions in the world, you'll traverse the crossroads to get there. Subsequent times, we of course support fast travel, but it behooves you to actually go back and explore the crossroads as some of the deepest secrets lie within.
So now you're in Hosberg Wetlands. It's an area that has been almost completely consumed by the Blight. The Grey Wardens have set up an outpost here. Again, if you know anything about the Grey Wardens, they fight the Blight anywhere they see it. And they're noticing something strange is going on here. The Blight is not behaving as they expect it to and as it historically has. So they've set up shop in this place called Lavendel. And you are here to work with them, help them out, and help them find an answer to the questions about the blight that they're asking.
Tell me a little bit more about this area. It looks a little bit like a hub where you can get a lot of quests and things like that.
That's right. So here we find one of the bases of the Grey Wardens. So you'll see they've really built up a small fighting force here to hold off the Darkspawn. What's more, the Grey Wardens are a faction we're going to be working with throughout the game. We've got Holden, one of the Grey Warden quartermasters. We're actually going to upgrade his shop and see what items he has in store for us, see if maybe it gives us an edge in combat.
And those Grey Wardens
The Grey
viraram
Wardens,
uma
much like the
facção.
other factions, they understand the stakes of the gods being out. They want to help you, but you need to help them first. They have, again, as Corinne mentioned, they're holding off the Darkspawn here. They have other priorities, so getting them more powerful allows them to more
No
meaningfully
primeiro jogo
contribute
você é um Grey
to
Warden, mas
your
eles meio que
fight
estão...
against the Elven gods.
Eles são raros agora, naquele momento. Então, pelo visto, as coisas mudaram
All right,
muito.
so we're heading out of the Grey Warden Fortress into the small town of Lavendel.
Eles são treinados
Now,
para
this used to
enfrentar
be a beautiful place full
os
of
caras das
life,
trevas, os caras que vêm dos
flowers, and you can
portais.
see what effect the blight has had. But the residents are still here. They're trying to make the most of their lives, and you can see there's plenty of opportunities to help them. In fact, we're going to quickly check
Foi igual
in
ao primeiro,
within
essas
the
exclamações
physician
são missões
and
paralelas.
see what he has in store for us.
So Flynn, again, one of the focuses of this game is characters, not causes.
I've been busy with patients, but I'm short on medical supplies. My mentor, Oscar, he should have some.
É um cara?
He has a cabin outside the village. If you're out there, tell him you saw Flynn, and they could use his help.
Não
And
parece.
Flynn is a warden who you will do quests with. We wanted to make sure that the side content of Dragon Age: The Veilguard felt as meaningful and tied to the overall conflict of the game as anything else you do. We don't want you to just go off and do random tasks. Everything needs to feel meaningful, either contributing to your fight against the gods or contributing to the growth of your companions and the factions that you need at your side to stop the gods.
You look a bit worried.
We're not sure where some of our wardens are, Beckett and a few others. We're supposed to check in. We need to look out for each other more than ever. It's just, I know they took Weishaupt hard, and I hope they're okay.
O design dos personagens tá
So we
bacana.
picked up a couple of quests in Lavendel, but we're here to help Davrin. So we're going to make our way through the perils of Hosberg and try to get to this Warden Fortress of the Cauldron.
Seeing a lot of kind of organic matter. I suppose that's the blight.
Absolutely. So the blight at this point, as mentioned before, the wardens understand it's changed. It's become a lot more organic, a lot more alive. You know, back in Dragon Age 2, Inquisition, Origins, the blight, while it was a slow-moving wall, it didn't have this almost sentience, this almost thought behind it. And obviously we've talked about how the gods that are out are blighted. That probably has something to do with it, and it's made this area far more dangerous than it would have been before.
And you might notice as we get into combat with some of these Darkspawn that they do look a little bit different than before, and that's very intentional. Gillenane, the god of monsters, she uses blight like a medium to sculpt and warp the Darkspawn to do her bidding, to suit her purposes.
So right now you'll see a couple of Hurlocks, one with
forte.
some pretty disgusting growths on its back.
É, acho que ele
Again,
tá
the idea
bufadão.
that the Darkspawn and the Blight is an
inimigo.
organic weapon. They're not just
Ah, o cara tá...
coming out and, you know,
Ó,
making swords, making armor. They're using the Blight to augment themselves so they can more effectively defeat you and also
Cara,
give the gods the
sempre
world
mata o
that they
inimigo
desire.
menor, mano.
É.
All right, now I'm actually going to switch to my Orb and Dagger on the
Vai
mage.
ficar com
And
esse
those of you that were
flechinha enchendo
fans
teu
of
saco pro resto da
the
vida.
Knight Enchanter in Dragon Age Inquisition, you might feel right at home with this. This is a more melee-focused, more agile version of the mage. One of the main mechanics here is you can use this elemental orb
Vai morrer.
to apply stacks of elemental damage to the enemy,
Não quer,
and then
não faz o que
unleash
eu,
them with
que eu
your
falei.
dagger to detonate them.
Vai morrer.
So, again, we're in, you'll notice that there are blight pools. The Darkspawn aren't just coming out of nowhere. The blight is spawning them. Again, part of Gillenane's attempt to turn this into an army for the gods is to use these Darkspawn, not just, again, whereas you have the Venatori and the Antom, one case representing magical power, in the other case representing physical strength. The Darkspawn are representing overwhelming force.
That was a pretty clutch heal a little earlier, by the way.
You know, we've talked at length before that our fans have asked us, where is the healing magic? Can you bring it back? And Nev in this game, happy to oblige with a kit of healing spells.
So one of the interesting things that I love about our companions is each of them, their abilities, the way that they're built, they're very thematically appropriate to the character. They're very focused on making sure that the gameplay and the narrative are as closely aligned as possible. In the case of Nev versus Blar versus Amrik, our mages, each of them has a healing ability that is thematically appropriate to them. It makes sense when you know them as a character.
Watching you play, I'm struck by sort of the size and the scope of this particular area. It seems like there's a lot of exploration that I can be doing right here.
That was really one of our goals with these areas. Of course, we are a mission-based game, but we really emphasize player autonomy. You can revisit these spaces. They're full of secrets, puzzles, some pretty incredible bosses and treasure. And of course, as we saw earlier in Lavendel, some really narratively rich side quests.
One thing that's interesting is you'll find we're going on a quest for Davrin, but Davrin is not currently in our party. That's because Davrin has gone ahead of us and is waiting for us at the Cauldron. This is, again, we want the followers, the companions, to feel like they have autonomy, and while they won't complete the quest on their own, they will go ahead and get things ready. So when you get there, you can you talk to them, you have a conversation with them, and it feels like they are as invested in the success of their journey, their stories, as you are.
Tá cheio desses que são mais fortes.
This looks like a pretty contiguous zone, is that right?
It is, yes. So it's full of branching paths, different areas to explore. And what I love is the more content you do in the area, the more shortcuts you're going to discover. You're really going to have a lot more flexibility in how you navigate between your remaining missions and quests.
O nome do inimigo, ele determina a dificuldade. E não tá aparecendo aí. Tava aparecendo no começo, ó.
O nome do inimigo determina a dificuldade?
Aí se aparece branco, tá ok, amarelo pode ser mais...
Cor do nome.
Cor do nome.
Sim, acho que eles falaram sobre isso também, né?
Acho que sim. É que no Origin é assim, imagino que isso no Mood também é bem padrão, né? Comum ter assim.
Quando tá vermelho o nome é mais difícil de matar, amarelo é médio, a verde é fácil. Não necessariamente essas mesmas cores.
All right, we can see our companions are up here attacking this Darkspawn on their own. Let's give them a quick hand.
Arcane Mark. Quebrou postura.
All right, I love positional gameplay, making use of the environment to your advantage.
And I just saw that you could do a takedown move, so it's kind of a finishing move.
You can. Now, in this particular build, I'm really focused on using necromantic energies to siphon life force. But
Essa build aí
for
parece bem
instance,
forte.
wanted to go the stagger route, I could go
baú
a
no mapa e ele
takedown
passou
build if I
direto.
like. It's a really powerful, heavy-hitting style of gameplay.
Aquele velho toque.
Pra quem não tá ligado, o mapa tava atrás da câmera do Lê ali, é um mapa em tempo real aí.
The sun flies in.
Yeah.
Ó, o cara tá aí.
Bad day at the Cauldron.
What could do that?
What have they been hiding inside?
So something tore through the gate. That's probably not great. Looks like we should probably get moving.
We won't find out standing around here.
Definitely approves.
Esse cara parece com alguém. O maluco do Supernatural.
Protagonista ou...
É, o protagonista, o seu personagem, nosso personagem. Ele parece com o Sam.
Nev and Harding along to clear away a clear path for ourselves to find Davrin and get to where he is.
Can you talk a little bit about how Nev and Harding sort of synergize during the combat?
Yeah, so Nev and Harding, Nev is a mage, Harding is a rogue, and each of the classes, and you can build a party entirely of one class if you want, but the idea is that the classes synergize and they can set up and detonate each other's abilities in a very interesting way. Now, because you have a lot of freedom in how you build your character, you can, again, as said, you can have all rogue party, all warrior party, it still works. But in this case, Nev and Harding are very effective at setting up and deadening, in this case, as Corinne's going to show.
So we're in danger here, and this is really what I love about the tactical layer of combat. If you get in that clutch situation where you've got this devastating incoming attack, great time to pause gameplay, weigh your options, and in this case, I'm going to go back to our combo here and see if I can just quickly get out of the way. All right.
Mas parece que quem tá jogando é o time da BioWare mesmo.
You can see I've applied siphoning to these enemies, so I'm actually going to be leeching their health when I use my Mage Beam. Now you'll notice there's blight boils throughout the area, and that's part of our philosophy on the combat encounters. If I don't destroy these blight boils, ghouls are going to continue to emerge. So I'm really focused on what targets do I take down first. This enemy is a little bit weaker. I think I'm going to have my companions focus on them while I deal with this grenadier that's given me some problem.
Yeah, I will say, and that's I'm not on the stick. Corinne is much better at this game than I am, and this
you say that?
Well, most of the time, yes, 100%. But each enemy, again, really leaning into the organic. What I love about the grenadiers is they basically rip off pieces of themselves and throw them at you, which explode.
Não parece ser bobinho, não.
Really leaning to the idea that the blight is organic.
Nenhum inimigo parece ser bobinho.
Não mesmo.
Se vacilar, você toma na fuça.
The combat encounters can get pretty intense. You end up fighting a lot of different enemies. You can absolutely die if you're not careful.
Yes, and this, as we mentioned earlier, this is well into the game. So combat counters have really ramped up. And it really shows the importance of positioning, using your companions wisely, and looking for those synergies and combos. Now, this is interesting. We just went down. We've built our companions to be able to come to our aid. So we're actually going to use a revive here. And Nev to the rescue.
And as Corinne mentioned, this is later in the game. And Hossberg itself is what I would consider a later game area. And the encounter is a little bit more challenging. It's a more dangerous space. This shows up in the encounter, but it also shows up in the visuals, the storytelling here. This is a place that you don't want to be. You don't want to be in Hossberg. It is full of darkspawn, full of blight, and generally not a pleasant place to be.
Well, we'll be able to explore more of the Cauldron when Dragon Age: The Veilguard comes out on October 31st. In the meantime, we are going to be continuing on with our IGN First coverage.
Acabou o gameplay deles, mas deu pra pegar bastante desse gameplay do Sorcerer aí, do Mago. Mas assim, não é um tipo de gameplay que me impressiona. Inclusive, eu acho que dos gameplays que eles mostraram foi o menos impressionante em termos de como o jogo vai funcionar. Porque não curto muito a vibe, talvez seja isso que tenha influenciado na minha opinião. Mas deu pra ver bem dos inimigos, né? Acho que mais do que em outros vídeos, porque aqui os inimigos estavam realmente mais fortes. Como eles falaram, né? Um ambiente posterior ao jogo. Deve ser até um engine game isso aí.
A classe também não é a minha. Eu acho que eles mostraram, não sei, mais algumas outras features e tal, né? Mostraram bastante diálogos, o bagulho com o Companion lá, a troca de ideias. Mas assim, é um jogo que claramente ele tem bastante ideias boas.
Sim, é um RPGzão.
Não botão ainda, é um RPGzão, raiz, bastante ideias boas. Como não jogamos ainda, não dá pra dizer como é que é a nossa experiência, mas visualmente parece ser muito legal jogá-lo.
Sim, parece empolgar, né? Mas, novamente, acho que o que tirou a empolgação nesse gameplay foi a classe. Bom, pra gente, comenta o que vocês têm a dizer se você pretende jogar de mago, né? Se você gosta de jogar de mago e tudo mais em Dragon Age. É muito forte jogar de mago, você ataca de longe, né? E os inimigos atacam de perto. E a gente se vê no próximo vídeo do Combo Infinito pra poder, quem sabe, trazer mais Dragon Age pra vocês. Valeu!
Valeu!